Listen up, y'all. This right here is for all those old folks and youngins still living and thinking about getting in the game. The streets don't discriminate, and your hardships ain't no excuse to rebel. There's only one true way out the streets, and that's through Jesus Christ. Get out while you still got a chance. God will call to you, but you keep on rejecting, and it could become too late for you. This story's about someone who didn't take heed. You don't want this to be you. Trust me. Come on, circle round, youngins. Got a story wanna tell you about a brother who was from round here. We called him Fella. Now with Fella, he was no different than anyone living. But the lesson is critical, so it's best to pay attention. Now the story begins sometime in the early 80s. Was a hot August day. Mirages was on the pavement. Dade County sun was beating, but in an undisclosed location, a mother was birthing a son. A case of Brenda's had a baby. Now Fella's mama had a rough one. Born in the islands, child of immigrant, tried to transition but was evident. After her father got shot point blank, raw for them planks, didn't matter who. To no one, she was listening. She turned to the streets, rode with the thugs, dope boys, G's, smoking weed and started snorting coke at 13. She got ate up with a habit and couldn't stop it, so she started boosting, pushing packs and selling her body. Lay with so many fools, she ain't know who was Fella's daddy, and DNA tests ain't exist. To her, age was no brick, so she decided on keeping the baby and said she'd hustle harder. So she started slanging crack out of her one-bed apartment. This is the environment where little Fella was brought up at, and it laid the groundwork to his future laced with trauma. Even though Fella's grandma was teaching Christ to her daughter, it only trickled down to Fella. The problem, the streets was pulling harder. By the mid-90s, the generation was violent, and the hood where Fella stayed was infested with cane, gangsters and hate, roaches and rats, killers and pimps. And it was only a matter of time that Fella was on some ish. Excuse my French, but I'm just trying to make a point. This boy, instead of wanting to be a fireman or police, he wanted to be a stone cold hustler. Don't believe me? Better ask somebody, young brother. See, the mistake that Fella made was to think the streets could make him a king, but the streets gon' only make you a fiend. Fiend for the power, fiend for the drugs, fiend for the cream. The streets will chew you up and spit you like a pack of hyenas. Now back to the motion picture. Young Fella with hunger in him chose to leave school alone, stomach to his backbone, looking for something to stick to his ribs like a choked sandwich. So with the top shotter on the block, he started hanging, putting his work with a passion. Soon enough, top shotter saw his talent and planned to make him his right-hand man. But first, the ultimate test of loyalty and heart. One day, top shotter put Fella to the side so they could talk. He said, I see you about your issue and getting it. You got the eye of a killer, but there's one thing that you missing. You know Cutter from the pink buildings? Yeah, he on a mission to peel me and make a name, and like you, he sharp as an eagle. I got bodies on my belt, but Fella, you fresh meat, so here's the heat. And if you do this for me, I promise you gon' see more cash than your wildest dreams. My brother, whatever you need, it's yours, so go handle your business. Holla at me when you finish. That night his beeper went off with a 911. It was his grandma, so Fella quickly rushed to the phone to speak, and what she said ran straight chills down his spine. She said crying that she just woke up from a vision that troubled her spirit. She said in her dream that top shotter had killed him, and God is giving you this message to believe in him and stop rejecting before it's too late. She pleaded to please change his ways, but in his heart he made the choice that he would die in the game. He told his grandma she crazy and hung up on her, cause top shotter would never kill him, that was his brother. But what he ain't know was that shotter was plotting and lying on him. He seen Fella as a threat and paid Cutter to put that fire on him. Fella ain't sleep that night, playing the hit on his mind. He ain't know why, but he just felt so empty inside. He rejected Christ before, but never like this time. He sealed his fate and became reprobate, changed his destiny blatantly. When it was time, Fella rode out to the pinks ready and saw Cutter posted up next to his old school Chevy, and second stains turned deadly. Bullet flew and hit Fella from the roof dead on the spot. Went straight to hell in a pine box. Reject Christ and you was lost, youngin'.